What's up guys, it's me, Jeremy. On the PBE, Sona has undergone some pretty significant changes in addition to a visual update, and after playing around with her, it's actually kind of interesting. Let's get started. Starting with a rundown of all her skills. Her passive is unchanged except for the nerf to power chord on her Q, which got changed to 50% damage from double damage before. Now, her Q no longer gives a passive stat buff, and its overall damage numbers were slightly nerfed from the active, but it now has an aura that causes all allies who are tagged in the zone to gain bonus magic damage on their next attack. The problem is that it only lasts for one attack in lane, so unless you have good synergy with your AD carry, it kinda just gets wasted on creeps most of the time. Either way, due to the power chord change, it is a nerf to her laning phase damage as a whole overall, but since the aura can't affect any number of players, it's actually kind of a buff to her damage in teamfights. In addition, her W no longer gives passive stats as well, but the heal now scales off of percent missing health and gives allies a pretty decent shield to any who stand in the range of the aura. These two changes are just an absolutely massive buff. The shield is so good when playing versus a poke lane. Her new W is definitely much stronger, so maxing it with 2 points in the Q early on seems to be the way to go now. I think I was giving my AD carry and myself a combined 500 to 600 HP or so at rank 5 of the ability alone. It just gives her so much overall trading power and makes her incredible when paired with a poke heavy or lane dominant AD carry, despite the small nerf to her damage. And her E now scales much better, and the movement speed stats it gives now are actually a lot more significant. It's still a little useless in lane, but outside of lane, it's actually really good now, and usually gives around 40 to 60 movement speed to your allies. It also scales up really well with AP too, something around like 8% movement speed per 100 AP, which is actually kind of good. And lastly, her Crescendo is unchanged and remains to be one of the best ultimates in the game, and not much needs to be said about Crescendo anyways. Now, my initial impression of Sona was that she actually got nerfed. Her laning damage does feel a lot weaker, but with some coordination with your AD carry and them using your abilities properly, it doesn't really make that much of a difference overall in damage, or at least it's a very slight difference. While the power of her W actually really surprised me when I tried maxing it instead of maxing Q, so the new W is just so easy to use and abuse, and gives Sona a great matchup versus any poke lanes now, which is just awesome. In addition, Sona's teamfights feel a lot better. The auras are so much more significant, and the power difference is really noticeable. The power chord usage mechanic definitely still exists, giving you loads of utility, but since the range on her auras was significantly nerfed, it really stresses the importance of good positioning now. You can't just sit in the back, and you can't just sit in the front either because she's still fairly squishy, although not as much as before. But it does kind of introduce this mechanic that encourages your team to bunch up so they can all get the effects of the auras, which can actually be really bad sometimes, and creates room for a potentially huge mistake to be made. So that's definitely something you want to watch out for. But overall, Riot had a goal of making her auras more impactful, removing invisible stats while increasing her cooldowns, and they definitely managed to accomplish just that. Her kit is more dynamic and feels a lot better to play, and overall, she's just more fun, at least for me. It's hard to tell because players on the PBE can have such a significant swing in skill, but I think Sona does get a slight, deserved buff with these changes. My name is Jeremy, and that's it for my video on the new Sona. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to check out some of my others on the screen right now, or stay connected at facebook.com/gamingcurios. Drop a like, share this video, and make sure to subscribe for some more awesome content in the future. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.